I hear what you're saying. I understand how you feel. Here's how I felt when that was going on, right? Because you're owning your feelings. Everybody has to own their feelings. The last thing you want to say is, you make me feel whatever. Because unless you're giving them the power to do that, that's your problem if you're allowing someone to make you feel bad, right? We have the power within us through the Holy Spirit to control that.
Right.
And so then, we need to continue to have the empathy and compassion, and I value you as much or more than myself, and I'm interested in what you have to say, and if I need to change something, then I need to know what it is.
Right. And these are things that we're doing because they're the right things to do, not because we.
Yeah, exactly.
And once we do the right things and put our feelings aside, that's when we are available for the Holy Spirit to come in.
And that's when you grow.
We deny ourselves.
There you go. That's part of growing.
But you have to express how you feel.
Yeah.
So you stop it.
But each party needs to allow the Holy Spirit to give them that power of self-control, that fruit of the Spirit, right, to be able to sit there and listen without getting all, offended, right? That's what Satan wants us to do, is to get offended because of you made me feel, right? But we're picking up an offense that was, we're picking up the brick that we think was thrown, even though it wasn't. We pick up a lot of imaginary bricks.
Right.
And there's some real ones, but there's a whole bunch of invisible ones that we're trying to pick up.
Now, see, we were in a leadership, I don't know what you want to call it. It was a leadership program, and that was one thing that they had said to do was, on a piece of paper, write down, you made me feel like this when you said that. And let, write it down, and then he would write down, is that wrong? That was wrong?
Well, the only thing I would tweak on that is, here's how I felt.
Okay.
Not you made me feel, because as soon as you say you,
Right.
you're pointing a finger and you're blaming them for how you chose to feel.
Right, and that's not what it sometimes.
Now
Ran out of paper.
yeah, well, you get the legal size, right? Get the longer.
Made it way back.
But if we don't understand how our brains work,
Right.
and we understand they don't work the same, we're going to have issues.
And Larry, I just want to say that was huge that I learned through this class, was that, let the issue be the issue.
Right.
And Carol said that the women are the superior species. I find the men to be superior because they can separate issues.
Right.
Because if I think I'm going to solve all the world's issues in one conversation, and every time I've been offended for 10 years in this one conversation, I've been saying. And that's what we do as women, is that we try to bring too much to the table. So honoring the issue and not connecting it to other issues, and let the issue be the issue. Austin just whispered in my ear, you've really come a long way. Thank you for that. Because his brain compartmentalizes, and when I try to connect it all, we fight for days.
Some things aren't meant to be connected, right? Yeah, and that's a good point, because when we get into a conflict, it's kind of like a tennis match, right? Here's how I feel. And then here's how I feel. And then your mother wears army boots.
Can I share something?
It gets personal, right? It's not about the issue. Now it's about you. And then, yeah.
That just happened to me.
Your mom wore an army boot?
No. We were talking about the tires on the truck, and I said that I wanted to get new tires now. He said they're safe for now, and I'm just bent on getting these tires right. And he took offense to it because I didn't respect his knowledge of the tires. And next thing I know, he's talking about Your mother wears army boots.
Yeah,
And I'm like, it's got nothing, it doesn't have nothing to do,
combat. Well,
nothing to do with it.
close enough.
Then we started, it was awful.
Yeah, but that's how Satan works.
Like, we're talking about
And that's
tires,
what it
not
ultimately
boots.
is.
Right,
Not personal.
right, it isn't.
It's separated.
And that's so important what
But it was
Christina said.
the most ridiculous thing that,
Divider is the name.
oh my gosh, it
For
was
every
awful.
opportunity to divide
Yeah.
in our differences. And not all men have boxes and women have wires. I'm a box.
Yeah,
A
that's,
whole bunch of boxes.
there's a few like that, yeah. I mean,
That we still balance each other to keep more wiring, if you will.
right, and that's why God put you together, because you're like
Right.
the opposites.
Like you said,
Yeah.
opposites attract, and both represent God as a whole.
Right.
Right,
But God is balanced in there. We're not.
right,
But together with His Holy, like you said, the Holy Spirit, we're going to balance each other out. We've got all these wires. We're all over the place. We need someone to stabilize that thought process.
right. Yeah, if you get too,
That box, they just come in and intersect and say, okay, let's focus on one thing at a time. Let's
Yeah.
get this issue settled.
somebody needs to be the boxes, somebody needs to be the spaghetti, right? If you get two boxes together or two spaghettis together, it's not, I mean, yeah, it's just not going to work. God didn't want it that way,
Right.
you know?
And we're supposed to talk to each other, right?
Well, yeah, that's why we're together.
Literally.
But you have to look at why you were arguing with him. Was it fear that they wouldn't, it's got to be around fear about that.
It was security.
Yeah.
I don't feel, we live in New River, and when, we don't have like stoplights and little short, I get on the highway, you go 75 to 80 miles an hour just to go to the grocery store. And
Speeding.
So there's no, it's the highway, so we don't have no little lights, and it's not like in Phoenix. There's one main road, and it's on the highway. And the tread is low.
But if you're worried about your tires, you don't go 85. You go 70.
Well, you see,
You go, the hotter they get.
right.
So with the traffic.
See, now, there's a lesson here, right? Life is all about making adjustments.
Yeah.
I need new tires, Larry.
Sometimes you need new tires, sometimes you need new shoes, but
You need to slow down.
sometimes you need to slow down, smell the roses, right? Don't be in such a hurry.
But now,
It's all about,
But they go
I
so
just
fast.
took my car in to get them balanced. Mrs. Woodward, you need new tires. And I said, okay. I said, if it was your mother's car, yes, I would make her get new tires. But he said, if it was my car, I'd keep driving it.
You guys need to all come out and look at my tread.
well, that's a good point. You know, it's a difference between a man and a woman's.
Nothing to do with the tires.
You
We
feel
didn't-
secure that you can use the truck if anything happens.
Right.
She knows she can.
Well, I know the tires, what they're, basically because it needs a line, so you put the different tires on it, now you're gonna do the same thing.
Right.
Make
And
it-
getting all four new ones.
Yeah. So you get the alignment. See, I like that example because
They're all.
if we're out of alignment,
Yes. There you go.
we're not going to wear right.
Right.
We need to get the vertical lined up so that things go straight, you know.
And sometimes
So,
you have to pick your battles. There are times where he has wanted to do something, or where usually I want to do something, and she's like, that's not, the wisest decision. And if I'm adamant about it and I really believe that I'm right, it just comes down to, you got to choose either trust your spouse or, keep figuring about it, is what we quickly learned.
yeah. Well, sometimes you just got to pick your battles.
The family that I carry around with me, that was my.
Yeah.
70, not 85, that's
Well,
50.
that's, yeah, just
That I learned
temporarily. Slow down.
is that when the situation comes, sometimes we can tend to not speak on it right away, and we let it dwell. And the more it dwells, the more you're picking up more stuff in the past. Then they may do something else. Now you're grabbing that and putting that in the bag, and then you put that along with something from the past, building up.
Awful.
And you go weeks, days, hours, or however long it may be, And then, you know, he's like, well, what's wrong? Oh, nothing. What's wrong? Oh, nothing.
You don't do
And
that, Emerson,
finally,
do you?
finally, you come with this big old bag full of stuff. You're like, well, you did this, that, and that.
Yeah, then you just,
And you got all this stuff. So it's like, so whatever the situation is, whether he didn't put the dish here or whatever it is, just deal with it as soon as you can.
Right.
yeah,
Let it enjoy.
that's,
We have to trust the Lord. You know, I think we walk in so much fear, and fear runs us with our spouse, whether it be our tires, whether it be them not doing something right, and we've got to get to a place where we stop carrying all that, because it doesn't work. All we do is fight, and we destroy the family and the kids. And so we've got to not get into this, but give it to God, and
Yeah.
then God will have your husband change the tires. It'll be
Yeah.
his idea, and he's able to make sure that the house.
yeah. One of the things we talked about last week was, you know, from the curse in the garden is, you know, for Eve, part of the curse was her desire for her would be for her husband, which in the old Hebrew it really means control, right? Because it's all about security. When, as the secure, you know, it's like security is up here, and then, okay, so if the husband is doing what he needs to do to keep the security level up here, the control factor is down here, because security is up here. But they go like this. As security drops, the desire to control increases, and it keeps going like this. All right, security, control,
And security means?
I want to,
feeling safe.
Slowing down.
I don't want to say your name because I don't want your name on the video because we're doing it, but you came in the middle of this discussions. I mean, I think we were playing the video when you come in. Did we scare you today with all this stuff?
No.
Okay, these issues are real, and your wife's not here today, so are these issues real regarding you guys too? Because there's a cultural differences that you have, or no cultural difference?
No.
Okay, because I was thinking there was two different blendings type. So can you add anything to the conversations that were discussed here with the teaching and some of the comments today that might apply to you guys, that may be something you do that helps you guys?
No, nothing.
Nothing? Okay, all right.
All right, I need to kind of move on here.
What? All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's something that I'm a teacher, and I let the kids do concerns and share right away if there's something going on. And I think that during an argument or when a woman has a problem, she wants to share it versus a man wants to internalize it.
Right.
And men usually go, not 100%, but most men don't go and tell everybody their problem.
Right.
Women will. She will tell everybody their problem.
I know, that's important.
Yeah,
I asked
so
first.
just saying I have a concern, and the
Timing is important.
you know.
Certainly.
But if a woman is silent, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, you know something's wrong.
Yeah. Keep that communication open.
Yeah.
Women like to process outwardly, out loud, whereas men process inwardly. So there's that disconnect. Well, why are you not processing it the way I process? No, they process it differently. That's why they don't spit it out all over the place.
Yeah.
Women have to process it out loud. and
Yeah.
That's good.
And it, again.
Even
that-
use these, huh?
Yeah. And so that, you know, that's where we have to, like you were saying, that balance that we need.
Yeah. I'm just going to mention, we need to kind of wrap things up here. It's so important for men to understand their wives don't do things the way they do, and vice versa. That's the big thing, right? I'm not you, you're not me, and we're very different. We don't perceive things the same. We don't process things the same. How are you ever going to see the same? Right? So you need to take the time. Here's how I see it. How do you see it? And it's going to be different. Okay. Well, here's what I think. Here's what you think. What does God say about it? Right? That's he's the umpire, right? Okay?